All right, everyone. So a plot of land for sale for $10 right here in Ontario, Canada. Would you like this? Is this only a catch? Is it only a dream? Would you actually move to this little town of Ontario? And what will it take to actually acquire this piece of land that's worth only $10? Stay tuned and let's dive right into the video. All right, so as mentioned, this town is in Ontario and the plot of land is worth $10 on paper. However, they're claiming that these actual market value for these parcels or plots of land are somewhere in a range of $20,000 to $30,000. Now, the mayor has decided that he wants to see more growth. He wants to see more happening in his little town. And one way is to give land for cheap or almost for free. But the local residents don't really think so. They have other plans or they have other thoughts when it comes to the expansion of this little town. So before I dive into details, the question is, would you pack and would you move 8 hours from Toronto to live in Cochrane, Ontario? All right, so this is it. So the little town of Cochrane, Ontario, usually these lots are valued around 20 to 30,000 per plot. However, mayor decided to kind of give away around 1,500 of these lots. Now, before we get into all of that stuff, because everything looks so great, it almost looks like a dream come true. But would you actually move 8 hours from Toronto to live in Cochrane, Ontario? So that's the number one question, right? And as you heard a few minutes ago, that the locals have different concerns. Like they have concerns about the actual town, like how it would look like when they start expanding and when the population starts to grow. So the mayor decided to have that shift from a small little town into something bigger, but still keep the cottage life. So let's get into some questions here. So where even is Cochrane? So Cochrane is North Ontario, between 7.5 to 8 hours drive from Toronto. A remote small town, but not isolated. Known for its nature, peace, affordability, and now even bigger opportunity. So this is it. I mean, like that's the opportunity for some. And the question is, again, would you move? Because we get into other segments here. What would it actually take for you to build a property in Cochrane? I mean, if you ever build outside a hub, like a larger city, where you can have all these trades just a phone call away, right? Now, getting outside this hub, everything gets so much more expensive and so much more difficult, right? Because the logistics, they just get like weird up there, right? Like because people in that neck of the woods have a different timeline. They almost don't have a watch, right? So nothing is a priority. Nothing has to be done overnight. The pricing is different, and to get the right skilled worker would cost a lot of money. So if we decide on a smaller house, let's say a smaller bungalow home, would cost you somewhere between $350,000 to $400,000, and then if you get this lot for basically $10, right? It will cost you around $400,000 for the completed project and a small house of maybe 1,000 to 1,100 square feet, right? But is this really worth it? I mean, we're struggling with the pricing, we're struggling with everything, but even now, 8 hours from Toronto, we're talking $400,000 for a house. Like, you know what I mean? Like if we go from 2025, if we go only back a decade, which is 10 years, and if we put a timeline back to 2015, Toronto or the surrounding suburban areas, you could definitely get into a market for, $400,000, right? Nothing spectacular, but you would be able to buy something around this price range, right? Small, maybe needs reno. You maybe could get into a semi, maybe a townhouse. But I'm saying that price point around $400,000 or $500,000 was reachable only a decade ago. So does it make sense, right? Does it make sense to move 8 hours and let's say you get qualified because they have to go for a qualifying process, right? Like you cannot buy the slot if you want to flip the house, right? So I'm sure there are different contracts in place just to make sure that you stay in this town. And then what if you wake up, 6 months or a year down the road and you say, oh my gosh, lack of infrastructure, lack of all the necessities that I might need. Was it really worth it? Can you sell at that point? And if you can, to who do you sell it, right? So those are all the questions, but it is an interesting concept. However, Mayor of Cochrane, Ontario, claimed that they have received over 4,000 applicants for these 1,500 parcels, right? That means that the actual demand exceeded what was offered, which is nuts. On top of that, in these applications, you had outside Canadian citizens that were willing to apply and heard about this gig and wanted to actually build in Cochrane. So the question is, the demand is there, but would you do it? I mean, like, would you leave everything and you can just move to a small town and live maybe mortgage free? Would you be happy? Would you be satisfied? And I'm talking to three different groups. I'm talking to the new people just starting, just buying a property fresh. Would you move 8 hours from Toronto? And then I'm talking to you people that have kids, right? That need certain elements, schooling, etc., right? Shopping, grocery stores, right? I'm talking to you guys. Would you take your family and your kids and move there for a $400,000 smaller home, right? And I'm talking to seniors at the same time. Would you pick up and say, look, I had enough. I need something that's less expensive so I can afford my life, period. And Cochrane, Ontario is the solution. It's where I need to go. So I will leave you with this. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.